Joel Klatt has spoken out on the Ohio State Buckeyes, calling them the obvious championship pick, but that's not even the most important thing that he said, and we have to break it all down. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Columbus Football 365. If you're an Ohio State Buckeye fan, hit that subscribe button. Only 3.9% of viewers are subscribed to the channel, but let's jump into the news coming from the Joel Klatt show, from the man himself. He said Ohio State threw the ball just as well or better versus Wisconsin than Bama did. And we all think Bama's passing game is the elite passing game in college football. Also, the defense, 41 total points through 7 games is wild. They then showed a stat on the screen since this is the lowest points allowed through the first 7 games of the season since 1993. So the Buckeyes are putting on a generational display of defense so far this season. And also, there's more stuff about them throwing the football, but we're going to start with the defense because it is the most impressive thing about this Ohio State football team, especially when you look at how many players left Ohio State via the NFL draft. We had a first round pick with Tyreek Williams, second round picks farther back. Lost defensive captains. Just so much talent out the door, but Ohio State has reloaded and set up a defense that has allowed only 5.9 points per game this season. Not even allowing a touchdown per game. And I'm not even talking about the touchdown and the extra points. They're not even allowing those 6 points that you get from just running the football into the end zone. That is absolutely insane to be doing in one of the top conferences in all of college football. Whether you think the Big Ten is the best or the SEC is the best, it's got to be one of those two. And the Buckeyes are doing it against good teams. I know they haven't played really amazing offenses. So, maybe the number would get a little bit higher if they played some better teams. And they will see better teams come the college football playoffs. But a huge gap in between the Ohio State Buckeyes and the number 2 ranked in terms of points per game defense, the Oklahoma Sooners. The Sooners are giving up 9.4 points per game, which is a little bit under 4 points per game more than Ohio State is giving up. So absolutely insane what the Buckeyes are doing this year defensively. And it's all because of Matt Patricia being brought in. But before we talk about that, just want to say, watching Texas, it is so obvious looking at how good their defense is that they're going to be back in here in the top 5 in the bottom of points allowed per game. And I feel like a lot of Ohio State fans are not excited about that Texas win. That is a really good football team. They're ranked because they deserve to be ranked. The offense isn't transcendent. Arch Manning isn't going to win the Heisman. He's not the crazy Heisman winner that we thought he was going to be. But we got to stop acting like that Texas win wasn't an impressive win. Like, just because Arch Manning isn't going to be the first overall pick and Texas isn't a top 10 team anymore, that doesn't mean it wasn't a good win. That's still a really good SEC team, still a top defense that has leaders all over that defense, and they got great players as well. Ohio State fans got to be more excited about that win versus Texas. But you may remember the other half of the quote from Joel Klatt praising the Ohio State offense for throwing the ball better against Wisconsin than Alabama did. So Julian Sayin, the way he continues to develop over the course of this season continues to be, for me, the number 1 is the defense, but the number 2 story of this Ohio State football team. There were so many top college football programs going into this year with a huge question mark at quarterback. Look at Arch Manning at Texas or Ty Simpson at Alabama. Ohio State certainly also had a question mark starting young Julian Sayin, but Julian Sayin has gotten better and better each and every week. What started with a very, very conservative approach versus the Texas Longhorns has blossomed into a full-fledged offense that is throwing the ball all over the yard. And even with throwing all these deep passes, Julian Sayin is still averaging over 80, or he still has a completion percentage of over 80%, which is number 1 in all of college football. Extremely, extremely impressive stuff. Just like Joel Klatt said, throwing it even better against Wisconsin than Alabama did. And if we are looking at the current Heisman race situation, Ty Simpson, quarterback for Alabama, he is number 1 in the Heisman race, consistent with the quote from Joel Klatt talking about Alabama being the premier passing offense in all of college football. So in terms of Heisman voting, Julian Sayin is not seen as the same level of Ty Simpson, but plus 300 for Ty Simpson, plus 400 for Julian Sayin. Those odds aren't that far apart, and Julian Sayin has all the time in the world to continue to close the gap with Ty Simpson and get even closer in this Heisman race. So it is not over for Julian Sayin. I mean, they're not handing out the Heisman in week 9, but what is coming up where Julian Sayin is going to have to get it done. He, first off, has a bye week this week where he gets to prepare for Ohio State's defense, where they have highly ranked recruits who have underperformed this season, but they are going to be hungry versus the Ohio State Buckeyes. Penn State, their number 1 edge defender. You probably already know the name, but if you don't, look out for the 6'5", number 33 edge rusher denied Dennis Sutton. He's going to be screaming off the edge, trying to make a big play in what is a lost season for Penn State. Unlike some of the other teams in the Big Ten, one team on this list of our next 3 opponents in UCLA, the season is completely lost for Penn State. With 4 Big Ten losses, they can't make the playoffs. They can't make it back into any sort of race for anything really meaningful. They're just going to try to win a bowl game, try to qualify for, got to get those 5 wins against FBS schools. They played a bunch of FCS schools to start the year off. They start off 3-0 against FCS schools, and then, have not beaten, I don't think they've beaten a single FBS school, which is really, really problematic for a team as strong as they are on paper. However, this next week is going to be different because Penn State is ready for Ohio State. When the season's already lost, they don't care about beating Iowa. I mean, I'm sure there are a bunch of players who, the opponent or quality of opponent doesn't dictate how well they play, but there is 2 things. Definitely, the film does not lie. The difference between the defense of Penn State's effort versus Oregon and the defensive effort versus Northwestern was completely different. Was clearly a letdown, and they were playing slower because of it, but they're going to flip that switch right back, because the second thing that is undeniable is this game is circled on their schedule, and the Penn State-Ohio State game, they want to be the team that beat Ohio State. Ohio State looks so good. I know this is getting ahead of myself, but they look so good that a team at the end of the year could be saying, we beat Ohio State, and that's like the win of the season to hang our hats on, because Ohio State ran the table the rest of the way and won the national championship. Ohio State lost so many players to the NFL, offensive and defensively, and just still look amazing. One other point that I haven't brought up on this channel, Jim Knowles, the championship defensive coordinator for Ohio State from 2024, now with the Penn State Nittany Lions. He's going to have something planned for our offense. He knows what he's doing. He's been with Ohio State, been in the locker room. He knows the players. He knows some of their tendencies. He knows their strengths. And more importantly, he knows how to exploit their weaknesses. So that's just another layer of this Penn State game, of why I cannot stress it enough. This game cannot be overlooked. Penn State is so much better than their record when they are playing Ohio State, because it matters that much more to them. If they're playing, another Big Ten team that isn't as, the win wouldn't be as flashy, they're probably going to go right back to not playing as hard as they really should. But when it's Ohio State, they're going to be up for the challenge, and they're going to be fighting as hard as they can. That being said, no Drew Aller. Ohio State's defense gives up 5.9 points per game. I mean, I would love to see what the over-under is set at for Penn State's offense, but you have to imagine there's no way they put up over 14 points versus the Ohio State Buckeyes, who I believe Ohio State has still not allowed a first half touchdown. But someone please correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong with that. The next 2 games, Purdue should be a cakewalk. We'll look deeper into that game as we get closer to it. UCLA is a game that I have circled on my personal calendar. Can't wait to watch Nico Iamaleava go up against an elite defense. He doesn't really have the weapons around him, but he has Jerry Neuheisel, the new play caller, who has just absolutely revamped their offense. I can't wait to see what UCLA has to, what kind of tricks they have, what kind of secrets they're going to use against the Ohio State Buckeyes, because they only have 1 loss in the Big Ten. They are coming. They are still trying to make a run of this thing, and the players clearly believe in their new interim head coach, and it all starts with that new play calling. So we're going to see what that looks like, but Ohio State's defense is going to show up, and we're going to hopefully shut down everybody throughout the course of this football season. But that's what I got for this video. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and go Buckeyes.